Welcome to the Finding the Magic podcast, where books come alive. I'm Tricia Copeland, a fiction author and host of this show. If you love books, finding great reads, and hearing about the story behind the story directly from the authors, this is the place for you. Whether you like fantasy, science fiction, dystopian, or romance titles, I think you'll find something to love in my playlist. Listen in to discover something magical about a book or two today. Welcome, April.
Hiya.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Glad
it's Friday.
It's Friday, yes, yay. Everyone's ready for the weekend, especially around the holidays.
Yeah.
So today I'm hosting April Grace. She is a fantasy author and she lives in the UK. And do you live in England,
Yeah.
Scotland?
England.
Fun.
Yeah.
So we're a couple of hours off, but that's okay. We got all our ducks in a row now. So I'm super excited to jump in. Tell me about you and your book.
Yeah, so I've got a kind of futuristic young adult fantasy called Steel Princess. Actually I have it next to me.
Oh, good. Yeah. I love when people have their books.
It's the waterproof copy. But
that is a beautiful cover.
So it's a futuristic fantasy. So it's basically a giant kingdom or queendom full of robots. But then you've got magical elements as well. So like a lot of the magic inspired like the futuristic stuff. So it's the series title is A World of Magic, A World of Steel. So there's a bit of both in there. And then I've also got a dark retelling of Snow White, which came out in October.
Oh, congratulations! Super fun. Which do you want to dive into first? Because I'm dying to hear about the robots and the Steel Princess and
we can do that one first.
World.
Yeah. So it's kind of like I said, it's a futuristic kingdom. So the idea is that magic was taken away from this certain this area, basically, like a couple of 100 years ago. And then magic, so they kind of rebuilt it up with like futuristic stuff, like the science, the robots, and replacing like limbs from a sickness, things like that.
So are all the characters robots?
Most of them in that part of the world. So then you've got the other kingdom, which is all elves, and there's like a pirate adventure. So it kind of goes off into two different storylines. You've got Silver, who's the main character, who goes into the Steel City because she's a robot basically, but she's learned empathy. So she was raised by humans, so she's kind of learned their like mannerisms and has learned to like imitate them. And then you've also got the other main character, Eden, who was a tinker in the palace, like kind of a prisoner himself, and ends up going off into the magical side of things when he gets kidnapped by pirates. So you've kind of got, she goes off into the futuristic, he goes off into the magical.
Oh, interesting. And so do their paths cross again? Is that, or do we get to know that yet?
Yeah, so they cross in the beginning and then they cross towards the end, but they are linked, but you see it in the beginning how they're linked, but they're kind of two different paths.
Right. Neat. So, and the Silva character, is she the princess or is there a different?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, she's the stolen princess, basically. So she was taken by like a community or a group of humans because humans are seen as lesser than the evil queen. Or the robot queen. So she's been pretty much raised by them, not knowing where she's from, but kind of drawn to this one.
Okay, so she doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know that she's a princess.
No. Okay. Not until the beginning.
Okay.
The story.
Interesting. And so what is her quest? Is she trying to get back to her family, her robot family, or is she trying to help humans?
A kind of bit of both, but it's more kind of she knows that there's this evil queen that's basically killing humans, and she goes down this path of trying to take the throne and with the help of like the people that have raised her, basically the whole community, they've got like a mountain sanctuary, so that she ends up going there. They work on her a little bit because she thinks she's like broken at one point, and they end up, she goes underground and tries to get into the city to basically meet the queen and take her throne. So basically her mother, but she doesn't see her as her mother because she sees her as like this monster that is killing everybody, which in a way she is. But she kind of sees us like a softer side of her when she actually meets her in person.
That would be interesting, yeah. And it looks like this is a really long book. So, what is? I'm sorry, I forgot the other character's story. The other main character, his name was
Eden.
Eden. So, what is
Yeah.
his storyline?
So he has a chance to go off and find his parents. So he was again like taken, but from the sanctuary, so the same sanctuary that she's actually from, like the community, and he was pretty much kind of raised in the palace, like, but under he's got like a thing on his wrist to say that he can't go anywhere, he's trapped, and he has to follow orders. But his superior, so his superior's assistant is also from the same community and sends him off to go and work on the princess, who they have actually realised is Silver and has come back. So it's kind of linked, and then they end up meeting at the beginning, and then he goes off to find his parents with that opportunity, and then it kind of goes off in the other direction when he ends up at the harbour trying to look for his parents, and that's when he comes across the pirates.
And is he human or is he a robot?
He's human, but he's got a still heart.
Oh, okay.
So he's kind of got his own links to the magical kingdom as well, but yeah.
That's fascinating. I love the storyline. It sounds like so much fun. How long did it take you to write this book?
So this one I've been working on probably since I was a teenager, so like 12 years really.
Oh, wow.
But over lots and lots of different versions over different periods of time. Because I only made it into like a fantasy version in 2020, so during the whole of COVID and everything.
Neat. That's very cool. Have you always wanted to be an author?
I think so. Like I've written stories since I was like a teenager. So.
Yeah. And what was your inspiration for this particular storyline? How did you have that idea?
It sounds weird, but I can't even remember when the idea actually like came into my head. I think it was I read a lot of like young adult fantasy, and I was when I was a teenager as well, and I was just getting all of these ideas kind of popping into my head, and then I just work with them.
That is
but then I was reading a lot of like fantasy books around COVID time, where there was like a lot of the like missing princess kind of stories and kind of like found family and things like that, all those tropes.
Neat. Yeah, I just saw the most recent Troll movie. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it has a lot of those missing family tropes in it too. So
no, I haven't.
It was fun. Well, great. So tell me about your novella that you released recently.
So it's another novel, but it's actually bigger than Still Princess. It's so it's a dark retelling of Snow White, but it's as if the Snow White character has a stepsister. So she's basically the person that becomes the evil queen has a daughter called Winnie, and she has like a whole backstory behind before she goes to the Winter Kingdom, because you've got Winnie, who is from this place called Cranwick, which is basically like the little mirror village place. And then you've got the Winter Palace Kingdom, which is where the Snow White character, Princess Frost, is living.
And is she the main character in the story? Is Winnie the main character?
Both of them narrate it, so a bit like how Silver and Eden do. And there's also a witch called Wicked that also narrates. but she comes in a little bit later. But
Okay. And so are both of them first person, or are they third person written?
first person.
First person. Okay. So you
Yeah.
get that inner perspective.
Yep. In their heads.
Neat. Sorry, I misspoke about the novella versus.
Yeah.
Why my video keeps doing weird things to me? I don't know what's unstable or something. So,
Yeah.
Is the Snow White retelling part of a series, or is that a standalone?
So it's probably going to be part of a duology. So I have got another one planned, but I'm trying to write both series. So I'm currently writing the book that follows Still Princess and trying to work on that one next. But
Okay.
then I have planned a big chunk of the one that comes after The Girl Behind the Glass as well.
Okay.
So,
And how many books are going to be in that? I'm sorry, the robots.
Yeah.
It's the world of
Yeah.
robots and steel. Is that the name of the series?
Probably 4 books with a prequel, that one.
Fun.
So I had that one, ideas of that for that one first.
Okay.
The world.
Neat. So what are some authors that you like? What are your favorite authors when you?
Yeah. Probably Marissa Meyer. She's a big one. She writes a lot of like fairy tale retellings and inspired stuff. Sophie Mackenzie was a big one when I was writing when I was a teenager, and she writes more like kind of contemporary YA, but sometimes like with a twist. Like she has a little bit like a sci-fi twist sometimes. Like she has a cloning series about teenage clone. She has a series about teenage like superheroes. So kind of mixed, but a lot of the time it's like fantasy. And Trisha Levenseller is a big one recently as well with the pirate stories.
Oh, okay.
Things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I recognize Melissa Meyer's name out of that list. I think I've read some of her books before.
Yeah, she's got the Lunar Chronicle series, and there's a couple of others. So.
And so when is your next book coming out? How far out does that seem?
So sometime next year. I'm not really sure when it's going to be yet because I'm still in the editing stages, but I'm hoping towards the end of next year at some point. But I'm trying to get a newsletter sorted at the moment. I'm trying to get the audiobook is being produced at the minute for Still Princess. And yeah, I'm just trying to get them all sort of together so I can get a bit more, get my marketing together as well. And
right, that's always a big challenge too, getting all those ducks in a row.
Yeah, pretty much.
And do you write full time, or is this your like side gig?
No, it's my side gig. I work as a teaching assistant, so when it's the school holidays, I get more writing time. But I'm also like freelance editing as well, so when I finish work, I'm straight on the editing for people. So
wow,
it's like trying
that's
to fit
a lot.
it in.
That is a lot.
Yeah, I love it though. It's
fun. I love that. Yeah, you're gonna have an audiobook. I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah.
I like to listen to them when I'm cleaning or doing chores. Yeah.
I've only just got into them this week. They're really good. Just getting to work and back, like.
Yes, definitely helps pass the time.
Yeah.
So tell us, everyone, where they can find you and your books so we can go out and one-click them.
Yeah, so April Grace 1 on Instagram, April Grace Author on TikTok. I post a lot there. And April Grace Reads on YouTube. Just like bookish reviews, and I usually post all just little videos about like my writing process and stuff like that.
Oh, fun. I will definitely follow you on YouTube. I like seeing those like book reviews and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, April, for being here, and hold up your book again so we can see the wonderful cover.
Probably back to front, but
The Steel Princess. YA fantasy. Well, I guess it's futuristic fantasy. A little bit of, would you call it sci-fi, or is it more like fantasy?
More fantasy.
Or fantasy.
I think it's just got tiny bits of sci-fi stuff.
Neat. Well, again, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Bye.
Thank you, bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Finding the Magic podcast. I'm your host, author and podcaster Tricia Copeland, and I love getting behind the scenes. If you like the podcast, make sure to subscribe and stop in each week to discover new authors and books. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep finding the magic.